In this video, we will discuss how situations where the surprise is detected can be used in extracting information. We will develop the presentation by defining the problem first, later the thesis is formulated, then we will present the evidentiary analysis of the thesis. And as we conclude, we will explain the use and limits of the thesis. In the glossary section, concepts and definitions mainly used within section 2 and 3 are briefly explained. In order to define our problem, let's suppose to be witnessing a situation where a person P sees a phenomenon F, and as we contemplate the event, we notice that the person P is experiencing surprise. Then our interest is to know which kind of information underlies this situation. The thesis we will prove is that is to say, this emotional alteration, the surprise, is triggered after two conditions are already fulfilled. The first one, named as condition of anomaly, indicates that the phenomenon F is in opposition with the common sense of the person P. Whereas the second one, named as condition of ignorance, tells us that the person P is unaware how the anomaly occurs. The evidentiary argumentation will be based on the analysis of the logic underlying the performance of two types of professionals. We will focus our attention first on a particular type of entertainer, magicians. Every good magician knows that. To verify this is so, it will be enough to suppose that exists a magician successful even when his act of magic do not surprise anyone. An assumption which from its very enunciation clearly sounds ridiculous. Now, let's analyze some characteristics of the design and the implementation of an act of magic. When a process is developed according to how some common sense tells us that it should happen, then it results in an ordinary event, and therefore it does not draw any attention. For this reason is that magicians, they show us playing cards disappearing from one place and reappearing in another. But we all know that matter does not teleport. They show us objects levitating, but we all know that bodies fall down because of the law of gravity. So, each act of magic is carefully designed to seem as fulfilling the condition of anomaly. Now, let's see in detail the implementation through which the magician will display the anomalous phenomenon. The act of magic is indeed an ingenious configuration of object lighting and sound, and a skillful performance are set up only to materialize a deceiving perception in the audience, to make spectators believe a phenomenon is actually disobeying a common sense. Magicians keep secret the choreography of their act of magic, because the illusion is only possible for those unaware how the trick works, for those who do not know how the perception is misled. Consequently, this second aspect indicates that the condition of ignorance would be necessary in triggering surprise. To verify this is so, it is enough to analyze. If we already knew how the trick works, would we be surprised? Clearly, if there is knowledge, there is no surprise. And with no surprise, there is no magic either. A second group of professionals that exploit surprise are scientists. Let's see how they work. Scientists have the purpose of producing knowledge. They follow analytical procedures to validate new knowledge. This validation process is also reviewed by the members of this professional community, and the new knowledge is analyzed for its quality of being able to be consistently articulated with prior knowledge already accepted within the area. Science is expected in answering questions unambiguously. For instance, the answer could be a yes or a no, but cannot be yes and no at the same time. Thus, science seeks to produce this body of knowledge free of contradiction forms the cultural base of the discipline. And during their training, scientists study and learn a good part of the milestone of knowledge of this cultural base. But above all, they learn to analyze and validate new knowledge. As a consequence, a scientist behaves like a living inconsistency tester device. The cultural base modulates the perception of the community members within the discipline. When validated pieces of knowledge are efficiently and frequently used, they are perceived as analogous to common senses within the community members. Such a perception modulating effect comes from the fact that the cultural base not only tells how the already studied system behaves, but also gives shapes to expectations about how non-studied system will behave. Processes agreeing expectation result to be ordinary and unremarkable. However, a phenomenon diverging from expectation will be noticed by these professionals, and the situation will satisfy the condition of anomaly. The surprise will, will have this case the sense of strangeness, bewilderment, or perplexity. Within a community devoted in controlling absence of contradiction of its knowledge base, the reason of someone finding an anomaly could seem like an unwanted mishap to any layman. However, a scientist finding an anomaly is a prelude to the most unique moments in science, the discovery. An anomaly can be rationalized through analysis. However, it is first and foremost perceived by triggering cognitive dissonance in the professional observers, which indicates the detection of the anomaly is mainly an unconscious process. Once the anomaly is detected, the scientists focus the investigation on what is causing the anomaly, a question stressing that throughout the detection instant of the anomaly, the scientist does not know how the anomaly occurs, and thus the condition of ignorance is also met. Finally, in this case, we observe again that the thesis is corroborated. While magicians train themselves to create illusions that surprise others, scientists train themselves to extract knowledge from phenomena which surprise them. The previous analysis lead us to conclude that our thesis is well supported. That is, every time we observe someone being surprised, we must assume that the conditions of anomaly and ignorance have been fulfilled already. Now, let's analyze how the thesis can be of good use. Let's remember first a fact valid to everyone. Surprise is an involuntary emotional disturbance. Because of this, the information obtained from such a situation is pristine. It lacks any imposture on the part of the person which is experiencing it. Let's suppose next that we observe a person P surprised while seeing a phenomenon F. Consequently, from the thesis, we know that the conditions of anomaly and ignorance were met before the surprise to emerge. Let's then reason backwards by using the condition of ignorance firstly. From it, we know that person P ignores how it happens that phenomenon F is anomalous. That is, those who observe the situation and then apply the thesis, we know that person P ignores something important associated with the phenomenon F. It might seem trivial to simply say that person P ignores something. To show otherwise, let's assume, for instance, that we, the observers, also experience surprise in the face of the phenomenon F. Then the person P and we, the observers, will share together the same kind of ignorance about the anomalous phenomenon F. However, the use of the thesis will set a remarkable difference. We, the observers, become aware that we ignore something essential about the phenomenon F, while the person P, which is deprived of using the thesis, won't notice being ignorant of anything. That is, person P does not know of his or her ignorance, but we do know of ours. And it is always better to know something than to know nothing. The use of the anomaly condition to get information will depend on our ability to answer the following question. If we, the observers, have the knowledge to provide an answer, then we will know which belief rooted in the person P is disobeyed by the phenomenon F. And thus, we will have used the thesis to extract both general and particular information from the situation person P is surprised by the phenomenon F. If, on the contrary, we lack the knowledge or the analysis to give a precise answer, then we have worked ahead in investigating better the case. Until we solve it, we'll be stranded, aware that we ignore something essential about the phenomenon F. That is, only aware of the knowledge coming from the condition of ignorance. Finally, we have shown how the thesis can be of help in getting information about someone's ignorance if we pay attention to what is causing surprise. We share the address of the channel where this video was produced in case you want to share constructive criticism or comments, or just to see another video. Thank you all in advance. Here we will comment on two notions which were used in the formulation of the thesis and within its evidentiary analysis. The first of these is the notion of common sense, that is understood as a useful concept which can be a piece of knowledge or just simply a belief. It can result from personal or community experience. It can be a truly community knowing or just perceived like that. But mainly it is a concept no longer questioned or analyzed. That is to say, it is a piece of knowledge that is not under debate. From an individual perspective, the valid character of common senses leads them to be used automatically. That is, the individual is largely unaware that is using common senses in the decision making. The second notion used near the end of our evidentiary analysis is that of cognitive dissonance, which was defined by Leon Festinger as a discomfort, an annoyance, an uneasiness that we feel when two ideas or beliefs become in opposition, or when our behavior diverges from our ideas or beliefs. We underline here that we feel to emphasize that it is a non-rational phenomenon. When this emotional disturbance occurs, some actions are developed to solve the conflict in order to recover psychological harmony. We find among the possible restorative actions, first, a change of behavior to make it consistent with the individual's ideas or beliefs. Second, to discard previous ideas or beliefs and to adopt instead new ones, which fit better or results more appropriate. And third, the denial of one of the concepts in opposition. When the denied concept is the newest or the foreigner to the already existing ideology, the situation is called confirmation bias.